Hey everyone, my name is Mariana, and I am the host of the Commitment to Growth podcast, as well as the founder of the resilience life coaching platform Commitment to Growth. This is a personal growth oriented space dedicated to helping ambitious young adults who want to develop long lasting resilience in their personal, professional, and social lives. I coach on all things mindset development, reframing limiting thought patterns, habit building, vulnerability, and emotional freedom techniques, and more, all through evidence based practice and lots of raw and honest conversation. Thank you so much for being here, and let's dive right in. Such a joy, honor, and privilege to be here with you all once again. Hi, everyone. If you're new, welcome. And if you're not new, welcome back to the Commitment to Growth podcast. This is Mariana speaking. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the host of this podcast and resilience coach and founder over at Commitment to Growth. I am feeling the Q4 time of year. If you don't know what Q4 is, it is the final quarter of the year. It is gearing into the last 3-4 months of the year. As I'm recording this, it is October 22nd. So we're heading into the final 2 months. I said we're gearing up for Q4, but oh my gosh, I guess there's only 2 months left. I digress. Wow. Here we are. It's coming up to an end so quickly. I hope you are gearing up for it. I know that this time of year can always feel like that last stretch where, we're looking into Christmas, Halloween for some of us, Thanksgiving if you're in the US. It just kind of feels like we're holding out for those like little holidays here and there. So I hope you're staying energized. I hope you are taking care of yourself. I saw this quote today on my Insight Timer app. This is not sponsored by Insight Timer, but this is the app that I personally use to facilitate my meditations. And I think it's especially pertinent right now. And the quote goes, "Self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you," by Katie Reed. And I just think that this is a beautiful reminder that we can all and should all keep in mind as we head into this final stretch, because it's so easy to hit that burnout and feel exhausted. And instead of kind of taking the time to slow down and give ourselves some space, we keep pouring out that energy, and it can land us in not so good places. So I just hope that you're taking care of yourself, check in on your friends and family and your loved ones. And my DMs are always open if you need to talk, if you're burnt out, if you just need a shoulder to lean on, if you need some advice. Your girl's got you. So with that in mind, I'm excited for this episode because I think it's really in line with this concept of kind of looking ahead into the new year. What should this last stretch of the year look like so that the new year, when if you, like myself, set New Year's resolutions or you make goals for the new year, how can you optimize this time to make that transition into the new year the best that it can possibly be? So that's actually exactly what we're going to talk about in this episode. And everything I'm pulling from this episode is from my newest coaching program, Evolution. It still feels so surreal to talk about it. This is the newest program that I just launched. If you've been on Instagram, you've been seeing my posts and my stories about it. Maybe you tuned into my Instagram live giveaway a couple of days ago, yesterday, as I'm recording this. So this program is, oh my gosh, every bit of me put into something for you. This program quite literally came to fruition, I kid you not, on a Tuesday afternoon. I was on the SkyTrain home from my day job, which is it's a healthcare job, and had like a really defeating conversation with one of my supervisors who just kind of like shot down a lot of my ideas that I had for business development within the facility. And I was like going home just feeling super defeated and was looking for something to like hold on to and really kind of sitting with the like, oh, I just know that I'm meant for so much more. And don't get me wrong, I love, love, love my job, but I also get so, so much fulfillment from the work that I do here at Commitment to Growth as a coach. And so, in one of those moments of despair, I was looking through my notes app on my phone where I have just like mounds and mounds of notes that I've written for myself, of ideas I've just like quickly jotted down. And I came across one particular note where I had months ago thought of the name for this program and had kind of written down some bullet points. And then I looked up and saw this beautiful tree in the window of the SkyTrain, and it was just turning red to greet the autumn season that we have now transitioned into here on the West Coast. And it all just came to me. If you haven't visited the webpage for the program, you can do so. I will link it in the show description, or you can head to my bio on Instagram and click on it there. The whole program is centered around this concept of rebirth, and I use gardening metaphors. So everything from taking out the weeds in our garden that are preventing the growth of native, good species, to planting new seeds, to watering those seeds, to harvesting the fruits of those seeds. It all came to me, I kid you not, in like 10 minutes. I was just like furiously typing away on my phone as it all just came to me, and it was so wonderful. And then I just sat down for like evenings and evenings after that and made it into what it is now, which is a 8-week program. It is a completely one-on-one coaching program. It is 6 modules, of which we go through the steps to get really, really in deep into the limiting beliefs that are preventing you from living your highest version of yourself. I had this idea for this program because I have gone on this journey many, many times, and I still go through it. Every time that I come across a challenge in my life, or I'm going through a transition period in my life, I come face to face with beliefs that are keeping me stuck, resisting the transition, resisting the opportunities that are trying to pave their way into my life. But because I am holding onto things, I stay stagnant. And so a lot of the work that I do is really doing that kind of shadow work, which we also do in the program, meeting my shadow selves, really, really digging deep into what beliefs I am holding on to that aren't mine to hold, that were passed down from somebody else or from society, that so many of us carry and don't know we have. And I can tell you that so many times I have gone in to do this work thinking that I was addressing one belief, and in the end, the root cause of my grievance ended up being something completely different. And the transformations that I have felt in building the skills to get to those, what I call root fears, which are a big, big focus of this program, has led to some of the most transformative work, because those root fears are the core fears from which we are actually operating from. Those root fears are the ones that give way to other fears, to behaviors surrounding this root fear. So oftentimes, if we think that we fear getting a bad grade on a test, for example, and we think that that is like the ultimate cause of our fear, if you do enough digging, you'll find that perhaps the actual root fear is disapproval of your family, or failure, or rejection of some kind. And when we actually learn to understand that, the more transformative our healing work can be and our transformations can be, because we are getting to the deepest, deepest layer of our biggest insecurities, our biggest fears, our biggest emotional turbulences. And I packaged it all up and made it into this program for you. So like I said, it is 6 modules that we work through one-on-one together. Each module comes with learning materials that are personalized to you, that I've spent time on. It can be a workbook. It can be some exercises that you do in the time that we are not together before your session, so that in your session, we go into them and through them in a lot of depth. We pick apart those limiting thought patterns. We really, really spend time sifting out the noise to get to those root fears. And then we plant new seeds using neuroscience backed principles like affirmations, like subconscious reprogramming to kind of help you download a new program that then you can live from, that's planting those new seeds and then watering them with behaviors and lifestyle changes that we come up with together to reinforce those new seeds, to help them flourish, to help you step into that version of yourself and then sustain that momentum. So once again, 8 weeks, 6 modules, one-on-one. There are only 12 spots open in this program. So once again, if you haven't checked out the webpage, go to the show notes of this episode. I will be linking it for you there. The signups open on October 30th, so very, very soon after this episode comes out. If you are interested, if you want to have more questions answered, obviously shoot me a DM on Instagram, send me an email. But if you're interested in having first up for grabs, there is a waitlist that you can join. If you go to the webpage of the program, you will see a link at the bottom of the webpage that will give you a link to punch your name and your email into a waitlist so that the day of the launch of the program, you will be the first to receive an email with a link to registration, because only 12 spots open. They're gonna go fast, and so you want to make sure that you are first up for grabs there. So go to the webpage at the bottom of the show notes of this episode, get your name on the wait list, DM me any questions that you might have, and I am so excited to see you within this coaching container. It is like my soul work, my heart's work, and I am so excited to take you through it and to watch those of you that come into the coaching container flourish. I should also mention that if you join the program, you also get lifetime access to the Evolution program on the Circle app. Some of you may know that I have a community on there. It's kind of like a Facebook group, but I think it's a little bit more fun and easy to navigate. So you get a lifetime access to that program. So each time a new cohort of Evolution participants come in, you have a space where you can meet and greet with some really, really awesome and like-minded people. And usually there would be a monthly kind of like admin fee for this group, but you get it completely included in your program fee, and you get lifetime access. So it's pretty great in my opinion. That being said, that is Evolution, and what I'm going to be talking to you about in this episode today is a concept that we go into a lot of depth into in the program. It's a big focus of the work that we do to level you up, to open your awareness, to open you up to more abundance, success, love, etc., confidence, elevation, all those fun buzzwords. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Before we do, actually, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that this episode is being recorded on the land of the Quaquitlam peoples. I am an uninvited settler here, uninvited visitor here, and I also want to acknowledge that at the time that I'm recording this episode, there is a lot of hurt going on right now as we all observe the events that are going on in Palestine and Israel right now. And so if you are somebody who has been personally affected by the events that are going on in the East right now, whether it's your family, somebody that you know, or you are also just feeling the weight of watching from a distance, please know that you are not alone. Please reach out to mental health aid if you can. My DMs are always open for resources to talk, to direct you towards those spaces. This is the time where all of us must set our differences aside and come together to understand the depth, the severity of these events. This is a humanitarian crisis. This is genocide. And with that being said, it's time to stop siding. It's time to stop villainizing. It's time to stop dehumanizing. It's time to educate ourselves. It's time to come together. It's time to pray together, meditate together, put our efforts together, because there are people that need us right now. There are people that need our attention. There are people that need our compassion. There are people that need our voice because theirs have been silenced. So I encourage you to continue educating yourself, to continue staying up to date in the capacity that you can. It's time to step up. Now, without further ado, here is the episode. All right, so let's talk about one of the major reasons why we don't elevate ourselves, why we are resisting abundance, why we are often incapable of seeing the opportunities that life is trying to put in our path, but we resist. And this is a concept that I learned from the wonderful, the incredible. Many of you know that I look up to her work a lot. Her name is Brianna Wiest. She's an author from the United States. She is incredible. She wrote the very famous title, The Mountain Is You, that you may know. And she talks about this concept called our upper limit of positivity. As human beings, we operate at a baseline of safety. We are looking for comfort at all times because that is what our minds like. That is what our signals safety to our minds. And anything beyond that baseline of safety and comfort feels like a threat. It doesn't matter if it's taking on a new physical challenge or, in this case, allowing more positivity into our lives. There are bounds that our conscious mind sets in our awareness and our subconscious because anything past those bounds feels scary. And the same goes for positivity. We are so prone to setting upper limits of positivity for ourselves because we fear our limitlessness. We perceive that accepting and opening ourselves up to more joy, to more positivity, to more abundance comes with more responsibility. It comes with more time that needs to be given away. It comes with more risk of losing that joy and then feeling pain proportional to that magnitude of joy. We fear our own joy. We fear our own love because we are that magnitude. We are that vessel of power. What we fear is that we are not capable of stepping into that power. That is what keeps us stuck. And because we tell ourselves, no, I'm not worthy of having more love. No, I couldn't be more happy than this. I don't deserve more happiness than this. If I open myself up to more love, be it via vulnerability, via making more friends, via opening up to my parents, via giving more people a helping hand who are impoverished, I could lose that joy. I could expose myself to hurt. I am therefore vulnerable. And when we tell ourselves that we are not capable of stepping into this level of abundance and positivity, we upper limit ourselves. And what ends up happening is that we exist at this constant vibration where we calculate our actions, we calculate our kindness, we calculate the love we give because we think that if we give more, we get more, but then we are also capable of losing all of that. And the more we think that the more joy we have, the more pain is associated with the potential of losing that. Actually sit for a second and allow yourself to envision what a life of boundless positivity would feel like, would look like. You probably feel some resistance to that idea, don't you? Feels kind of scary because what your conscious mind is doing is telling you that, oh no, I couldn't possibly feel more joy than I do right now. I can't manifest that into my life. That's not possible. There's so much hurt going on in the world. But when we take on what is not ours to hold, and therefore also dim our own light and our own capacity for abundance, for joy, for creating our own happiness, that is when we stay stagnant. That is when we block the gifts and the opportunities that life is trying to put in our way. Sun Tzu, a Chinese military general and author of Art of War from the 6th century, I should say, he said this really all-encompassing quote that I think applies beautifully to the situation, and it goes, "If you know the enemy and you know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." Now, what I interpret this quote to mean is that if you know yourself, you know that you are also the enemy. And if you understand your patterns and your negative tendencies and how to work through them, how to work through the hindrances and the limits that you are putting on yourself, the result on the other side is always a positive outcome so long as you prioritize authenticity and, equally as importantly, purification. Purification, as it relates to the situation, is understanding that a lot of the deep work that we do, a lot of the deep work that we open ourselves up to, which, by the way, is an indirect raising of that upper limit of positivity, right? Because the more we open ourselves up to releasing limiting thought patterns, to releasing those subconscious negative talk, to releasing what is not ours to hold, whether it's passed down from society or passed down from our family or passed down from other loved ones, we accept that on the other side of that is a greater, we have raised the bar of positivity that we can let into our life, because now we are not being chained down by things that are not ours to carry. And so this is so much of the work that we focus on within the evolution coaching container, is that becoming comfortable with raising our limit. Because another reason why we don't do that deep inner workup, reason why we don't go into the depths of our limiting beliefs, is because we think that they are there to protect us from something. I'll give you an example here. I suck at taking compliments. Like, I get super anxious. I will always think of something to say back to the person. And my dad's a life coach, and I remember working through this with him maybe like 2 years ago. And I told him, I don't accept compliments because I fear that if I accept compliments, I will become cocky. I will become too self-centered, and I will become, just like super full of myself. And my dad was like, that's not how it works. And for so many years, and still I'm working through this to this day, something that is truly like hindering me from so much love and connection is something that I saw as a protective mechanism, because I fear becoming too cocky. I thought that limit in my mind was actually serving me, but in reality, it's hindering my own elevation. It's hindering my own capacity to let love in. And that's one example of many. I encourage you to think of some of your own, but that is like, for me, coming to terms with that and really seeing that in talking through it with another person and having somebody paint it differently for me was so key in helping me see how my mind, my conscious mind, was upper limiting my joy. Because, once again, if I let more compliments in, setting aside the fear that I might become more cocky, that means that I am letting more love in that I could lose. But who's to say That if somebody that gave me a compliment walked away, I am losing, or that I can't bounce back from that, or that my love is dependent on who stays or goes. And so much of this work is that I coach you through a lot of how to once again let that love and abundance in, to open yourself up to it, but also to see past the things that you think are keeping you safe but are actually hindering you from what life might be trying to put in your path. And in line with that, a big focus of the work that we do together has to do with another key reason, if not the most key reason, that we upper limit, which is that we have over time learned to silence our intuition in favor of others. If you grew up being told things or hearing things like you are too emotional, I know what's best for you, told you so, what this creates is a cycle of self-distrust because you don't trust that you are capable of creating your own happiness. And what this leads to over time is a dirty and painful cycle of self-sacrifice because we get so out of tune with ourselves and rely so heavily on what people, society are telling us that we need to do to actually achieve a fulfilled life, we actually need to do to manifest success, what we need to do to find and keep love, that we walk through life with so much resistance. We walk through life living a life that is not our own. And how many of us have found ourselves after periods of running on autopilot, running on survival mode, getting sick, or like feeling so much anxiety to the point where we only stop to listen to it when we are forced to. Like we either get super sick and we're bedridden, or we hit burnout and we then have to sit in discomfort that could have been quenched days, weeks, months, years before, because we were running from that limitless and boundless joy that we intrinsically know is within us. But once again, because we fear it so much, because we fear our capabilities so much, we don't stop to listen to it. And I think that a lot of this comes as well because there is also like an intrinsic knowing that yes, our intuition sees no limits. But in seeing no limits and in pushing us to do the things that we really want, in letting in the things that we really want, there does come responsibility with that. There does come exposing yourself to challenge and discomfort. I resisted starting this platform for so long. I resisted getting my business license for so long to work as a life coach because I knew that it was my calling, and to this day I know so deep in my bones that it is because of how I feel doing it, the kinds of conversations I'm able to have with people, the transformations I've seen in people. And I only got to the point where I am now, which is I'm in it, I'm in the thick of it. It doesn't mean that it's any less comfortable, but it was only through like letting myself lean into those nudges, which we're going to talk about later in the episode, that I was able to start expanding the bounds of my conscious mind. It was in slowing down, it was in listening, it was in recognizing that the more I run from the life that is meant for me, the further I'm getting from my true fulfillment. The further I'm getting from a life of alignment, the further I'm getting from the beauty and the limitless joy that the universe wants to give each and every single one of us. but it just takes the choice to listen. It just takes the choice to lean in. It takes the choice to have faith. Our ambition becomes clouded by the limits that our conscious mind creates, but once again, we forget that our conscious minds are wired for survival. Our monkey minds are trying to protect us by seeking the least discomfort, the least energy expenditure. Our monkey minds cannot differentiate between avoiding the effort of running 2 miles versus the effort of starting a public speaking career. They both require discomfort and putting ourselves out there and potentially facing judgment, so we feel resistance. And I think that's a really important thing to note. And once again, a huge focus of what we do in evolution is learning to sift through the voices in your mind, your roommate, as Michael Singer likes to call it, sifting through that voice to get to once the root fears that are driving those voices, but also to weed past them at what your intuition is actually trying to tell you. And I think that if there are any like self-identifying women listening to this will especially resonate with you, because I think that this happens a lot to women. We're told that we're super emotional, that we shouldn't live from our emotion, and what that creates once again is this like rigorous cycle of self-distrust and therefore self-sacrifice and giving up on our dreams. And that is just not how the way of life should be. That is not how any of us deserve to live. And so it is such a center of the work that I do in this program with you, because I've seen it change my life. And not a lot of those choices have been easy to make, of course, but once again, if you know yourself, you also know the enemy, and therefore you know that on the other side of every battle that you choose to fight is abundance, is joy, is love. Part of those 100 battles that we fight includes coming to face with the hundreds of self-imposed limitations that we've put on ourselves and pushing our upper limit by slowly surmounting them. How you push your upper limit of positivity that you've set on yourself is you let yourself envision and feel bit by bit what is on the other side of your fear. The first step is always simply allowing yourself to visualize bits of the life that you want, bits of the life that your intuition is telling you is out there waiting for you. Whether it is writing these visualizations down, you're sitting in meditation doing it, you're driving in your car looking out the window, you're making a vision board. Note that this can be particularly scary when you are sitting in the possibility of stepping into a version of yourself or doing something that is outside of society's norm, whether that's coming to terms with your sexuality, your gender expression, you're trying to leave your religion, or even like leave your conventional 9 to 5 to do something that is on your terms. I can tell you that when you take the conscious action to work towards your dreams, by leaning into your intuition, and you can do so slowly, and I coach you through how to do that in the program, your consciousness, your awareness naturally expands. And what that leads to is, in turn, an increased bandwidth for discomfort. Because when you let yourself feel and envision and get excited about what is on the other side of your fears, you don't have a choice anymore. When you've let yourself feel the excitement of that, because you've let life show you, staying where you are is no longer an option. And what that does to your willpower is it increases your willingness to go into discomfort. Leaning into our intuition can be really difficult if we spent a lot of our lives silencing it, not even being taught how to tune into it, silencing it in favor of others. But what this involves is what Martha Beck likes to call 1-degree turns. And I absolutely love this concept because I think that it paints it perfectly. Making 1-degree turns towards living a life that is in alignment with our intuition involves, as I mentioned earlier, just leaning into those nudges. And if you're somebody that has been consistently unattuned to your intuition, you have to lean in slowly and you have to really understand what your intuition feels like in your body when it's trying to talk to you. Because for many of us, it's a voice that we hear. For me personally, it's like a bodily, like chest opening or closing in on itself. And that took me a really long time to learn. And it literally wasn't up until last year when I went through like a pretty big event and life transition that I saw that reaction to its fullest depth, because I had been pushing it away for so long that when it went, like I had pushed it away so many times and silenced it to the point where I hit a breaking point and I couldn't ignore it anymore. Like my body was always closing on itself. I was like feeling so much anxiety. I was crying all the time and I didn't understand it until I leaned into those nudges, when I leaned into those whispers slowly, safely with others. I talked to my friends about it. I talked to my family about it. I journaled about it, about what I was hearing, what I was feeling. And as I started to, once again, let myself envision it, let myself see it in front of me in my words and in my conversations, my awareness started to expand. I started to open up myself to those nudges until eventually it got bigger and the solution was right in front of me. And it was then that I learned how my intuition manifests itself in my body. And I wish on no one the the breaking point that I personally had. Like I wish that I knew about this work so much sooner, which is also why it's such an important thing for me to teach you as participants of the evolution program how to do it safely, effectively, and gradually. Because once you cultivate that ability, it is like you are living from your life compass. And personally, I have cultivated this ability so well to the point that, like, if I do anything in my life on my day to day that is the least bit out of alignment with who I am and what I truly want, I like feel it in my body so quickly. Like, I get so sick. I just, it's not good. It's not good. I know when she's talking to me and she don't let me ignore her anymore. So, all this to say, one of my favorite ways to strengthen this muscle, and one thing that I spent a lot of the last year doing, is, and I'm able to do this more on in the mornings when I have more time before work or on the weekends when I have slower mornings, is when I wake up in the morning, I look up at my ceiling before I grab my phone or do anything. I ask myself, what does my soul feel like doing? Whether it's right now or today. This is a great exercise to lean into in moments when you're bored, in moments where you're on transit, where you don't know what to do, when you're trying to decide what condiments to put on your burger. Like, literally, the whole point of it is just cultivating the ability to listen to your body. And I find that if you start the day with this question, it really sets the tone for what the rest of your day is going to look like. Because as soon as you're operating from your inner wisdom, you are living in complete presence and in complete authenticity. Now, another important thing to note that I think we all need to keep in mind is that as we lean into these intuitive nudges, you will start to shed the parts of you that are driven by external ideologies and expectations, and you will feel resistance. If you feel resistance, it means that the work is working. It means that you are stepping into a version of you that is more aware, is more conscious, is more in attunement with your inner compass. And that is okay. Please bear in mind that a lot of times, some of the things that we open our eyes to aren't always easy to come face to face with. They can take time to accept, they can take time to adjust to. But you have to remember that this is how you achieve liberation. if you lean into these nudges with courage, because even if there's no explanation, it is where your body is telling you to go. It is where your intuition is telling you that there is hope for you, that there is love for you, that there is opportunity for you. That is all you need. That is the only reassurance that you need, because that is all that matters. Once again, if you put that upper limit on yourself because you don't want to accept that path, because you don't want to dabble in that path, if you don't want to follow it, you are going to persistently upper limit yourself and live in that space of less propensity for love, compassion, abundance, success, confidence, relationships, connection. Like, remember that life is always working in your favor. It puts you through challenge not because it wants the worst for you, because it wants you to suffer. Suffering is a choice, and it's a choice that we make when we choose to resist these intuitive nudges. What life is trying to do by putting you in those situations is actually help you increase that upper limit of positivity, because it knows that you want more of it. And in wanting more of it, sometimes we got to shed some layers, we got to do some heavy lifting, but it is always worth it. For me, so much of this work recently has involved, in the last summer, like letting go of the idea that to make meaningful change and to execute the help that I wanted to help, that I wanted to um manifest and bring to people, needs to involve me going to med school and becoming a doctor. If you've been here for long enough, you know that this was my dream for the last like 10, 12 years. And right now is a dream that I don't know if I'll be pursuing anymore, just after kind of working in public healthcare or in private healthcare, and getting a glimpse at public healthcare in Canada and the things that I don't know are in alignment with the standard of care that I want to give. And so much of this resistance has been leaning into what I'm doing right here for you right now: life coaching, commitment to growth, and exploring my capabilities and my potential within this realm, because it is something that gives me so much fulfillment. And I really do think that it's at the core of my purpose. And I've only been able to come to those insights and come to those revelations because I've leaned into those nudges. And I think that's another really important thing, is you discover so much of yourself, you discover so much of your potential by putting your energy into the things that feel good for no reason. If you listen to my episode called Listen to This If You Feel You're Lacking Purpose, I go into a lot of depth on this and how to do more things that bring you joy and how to discover your purpose within those things. So I highly recommend that episode if you want to learn more on that. But that is also a big focus that we do in, I want to say, modules 3 and 4, planting new seeds and watering respectfully, in the evolution coaching program, which is learning how to surrender the parts of ourselves that are trying to keep us stuck, trying to keep us safe, because they are beliefs that have been handed down to us from other people that say a thing or two about how to live a fulfilling life, what not to do if you want to live safely, what not to do if you want to have a successful career. We work through a lot of the grief that comes with letting go of those ideas, but also the resistance, and then we plant new seeds of ambition in their place. And once again, we do this by working to plant new beliefs about yourself, about the world, that will help you approach life differently. But also, we go through lifestyle changes together. We make goals for you. We outline them step by step so that you can work from your new downloaded program in your mind and live that way intentionally and in alignment with yourself. So that is how you do and do not upper limit yourself. everybody. Once again, if you are interested in being part of the Evolution Coaching Container, head over to the webpage. It is linked at the bottom of this episode. Get your name on the wait list as fast as you can before October 30th so you can get first up for grabs at the program when it finally goes live. If you have questions, shoot me a DM on Instagram, or you can shoot me an email. It is also linked at the bottom of this episode, because I would absolutely love to see you in there, and I would absolutely love to see the kind of transformation that this work can do for you as well. So have a wonderful rest of your day, morning, evening, whenever this happens to find you, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much again for tuning in, everybody. I hope you found that episode helpful. I hope you're interested in joining the Evolution Coaching Container. I know I am super excited to see you in there. If you enjoyed this episode and if you like the podcast, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, send it to one of your friends who you think might find it helpful as well. If you're not following me on Instagram or TikTok and want to stay connected and find out about when new episodes are dropping, when I have new programs coming out, follow me. It's at Commitment to Growth on both platforms. Once again, if you have a question, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, if you have any ideas that you want to shoot my way that you want to hear on the podcast, email me. It's mariana@committedtogrowth.com, and we'll chat, we'll bounce ideas back and forth, and I am here to learn from you equally because I want to grow with you. This is how we commit to growth. So once again, thank you for being here. You are so appreciated here. You are so welcome here always. And I will see you in the next episode.